Hello and welcome back to the 816 of the 6XO podcast. I'm your host, Joe Ramos, and today we'll be going over the game against the San Francisco 49ers. And we also have a special guest, so this week's episode will be a little bit different, but just as entertaining. The 49ers got the ball to start the game, and 49er Faithful was also really excited of the new addition of Christian McCaffrey, and they wanted to see him getting rolling early, which he did step in this drive, but only for a couple plays. But the 49ers were very dominant on their first drive, getting the ball down within the 20-yard line, maybe within the 10 yards as well. But the Chiefs had a bend, don't break mentality and held them to a 3-point field goal from Robbie Gould. The Chiefs then got the ball back to start their first drive of the football game, and it came to a 3rd and 7. On this 3rd and 7, Patrick Mahomes threw an interception. Not, I would say, on him. I felt like it was on the rookie receiver in Sky Moore when he had a bad route as he wrapped behind the defensive back, having an interception come by Tufanga, I believe his name is. He's a very good safety for the 49ers and a new addition to their football. This was the second drive by the 49ers. They're in good position to start their drive, and it came to second goal, 3rd and goal. And it was a great play on the ball by Ray McLeod to get a touchdown off of a bad pass by Jimmy Garoppolo. He tends to struggle against the Kansas City Chiefs, but his struggle came later in the football game. The Chiefs then find themselves on a 3rd down again, and we have to go to a reliable target other than Travis Kelce. A little dump off, running down the field, a little ski, hurdled a man, and ended up getting about a 38-yard gain and put them in great position. They dominated the rest of the drive to end up getting a touchdown, and none other, I believe, the first touchdown of the game than Mecole Hardman of his first touchdown on the day. The Niners got the ball to start the second quarter. They were driving down the field well, but big boy, Stone Cold Chris Jones comes in and puts their drive to a halt, slinging Jimmy Garoppolo down like a freaking rag doll, showing him who's boss. He's that man, big dog, big energy like my big muscles. Not really, but that man's a dog, and he got the Chiefs the ball back. Chiefs had their first drive of the second quarter, getting chunk after chunk, bringing them down within the 10 yards of the goal line, and they have a nice jet sweep to Mecole Hardman, second tutty on the day. Your boy's turning up. Jet, again, absolute keyword, dog. Dog is what I'm telling you. He was balling out already for a second touchdown a day. More to come later? I don't know. You have to stick around and find out. Now, with little time remaining in the second quarter, the Chiefs were able to hold the 49ers to a punt, but rookie Sky Moore makes another key mistake in the game, muffing the frickin' punt on like the 8-yard line, putting the 49ers in great position to score a touchdown. And with how well their tight end situation is, you thought Christian McCaffrey was going to have a quick Texas route to score a touchdown. Here comes Jimmy Garoppolo messing up. Those whatever loft of a ball trying to get it to Brandon Ayuk, and rookie Joshua Williams, who has actually been burnt in the past couple games, makes a huge interception on the goal line, taking it about to like 8 yards to give the Chiefs some room to be able to operate. Puts a stop to that drive, and here comes the Chiefs rolling down the field. Mahomes has 121 left in the half. Needs to start slinging around the field, get time, stopped on the clock. We need to be able to roll. And he slings it to Trav, gets down to about the 30-yard line, and there's about a minute left now in the half. What other than Patty Mahomes slinging it down the field to MVS? Freak. Got the speed. They're talking about how we can't make deep plays without Tyreek Hill. And now, already this year, we have more deep plays than we had last year. 37, I believe, to compare to 21 that we had in 17 games last year. Now to our 7. So, do with that as you will. As we're driving down the field, get stopped a little bit, comes to a 3rd and goal. Mahomes scrolls out, little pressure, dumps it off to Juju for what we thought was a touchdown, but then it gets called back on a soft call. The NFL is starting to protect the players a little bit more, but it is what it is. We have Harrison Butker, one of the best legs in football. We'll settle for 3. But he misses it. Wide right. Never even had a chance. The ball faded. Anyways, we go into the half with the lead, 14-13. It is what it is. Second half starts. Chiefs get the ball to start the second half. Kickoff to Isaiah Pacheco. He hasn't really had a big explosive return yet this year, and here he comes with a big return to start the second half. Running down the field, gets about to the 40-yard line on the opposite side of the 50, then gets pushed on a late hit out of bounds to put the Chiefs with another 15 yards down the field to start another dominant drive. The whole second half was really just throttling to the 49ers. They were dominant the whole second half, came out and won 44-23. I mean, yeah, there was more highlights, obviously, the rest of the game, but absolutely crazy. As my producer says, Kellen, I use the word dog too much, but the Chiefs were dogs. And now it's time to bring in our special guest, Sam Reeves, for Sam's 2 cents. All right, so this segment is called Sam's 2 cents. So go ahead and give us your 2 cents on this game and what you thought about it.
Yeah, it was a good game overall for the Chiefs, I would say. Obviously, a rocky start, like you alluded to earlier, but the Chiefs kind of refound their composure toward the second half and imposed their will on the 49ers. My dad was actually at the game in Santa Clara, and he told me it was a pretty good game to attend. Plenty of Chiefs fans made the trip out there, and like I mentioned, the Chiefs kind of got some other pieces involved. Dustin Watson with a touchdown, McCole Hardman, who we haven't heard from a ton this year, 3 touchdowns of his own. So the Chiefs played plenty well in the second half to kind of pull away for the victory and a win to win going into the bye week.
Also, with Juju being our leading receiver, do you think he's starting to step up, and do you think he'll break that like 1,000-yard receiving mark this year as well?
Whether he breaks the 1,000 yard mark or not, that's an interesting question. I think it'll be pretty close, but I definitely do agree with the fact that he's finally actually stepping up and playing. I don't know if he's a definite number one receiver, but he's filling that role perfectly fine. That was one thing the Chiefs, a lot of Chiefs Kingdom was worried about was what's going to happen without Tyreek Hill.
Well, people, like you said, real quick, people thought we were going to be a lot worse than what we
Right.
actually are.
Right. And our offense as a whole is probably better now without Hill because there's more mouths to feed and there's more places Mahomes can go with the football.
And you have to cover 11 different possible guys now, guys with speed, guys with good directional routes, things like that.
Right. It's harder to defend. It's not like, okay, Tyreek Hill's going to go on a streak every time down the field and Mahomes can hit him. It's a lot harder to play against on the defensive side of the ball.
And also, Travis Kelce, another dominant game, 6 receptions for 98 yards. Didn't get a touchdown, but it is what it is. He's an unselfish guy. Do you think he just continued his dominance like he has his whole career?
Yeah, then there's no. What's crazy about Travis Kelce is there's no reason to believe he's going to slow down anytime soon.
Unless he shows something, but like you said, it's hard for a guy that dominant to slow down, and people are gonna try to keep him contained, but you can only do so much because you have other guys out on that field to cover.
The funny thing to me is defenses have tried about everything in the book to defend Travis Kelce.
Well, and you saw that against the Raiders.
Right. And for the most part, albeit, yeah, the Raiders did a good job defending against him. He held to 28 yards or 25 yards. But, there's 4 touchdowns. Sure, you're doing a good job containing him, but he still scores 28 points by himself. So
exactly.
It's you can only do so much.
It's like how much more can you actually do?
Right.
And honestly, just one of the biggest things, the Chiefs, I guess, love playing from behind, which obviously they don't. You just see in a lot of their games that they've had this year in the past, anything down from 24-0 to 17 to 10, or just a 10-point deficit anywhere in the game. And they always find a way with grit to come back, make big plays, get their offense rolling, even if they only have 7 minutes left on the clock.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad you brought that up because my dad texted me when we were down 10-0. He said, "Not a good start." I'm like, "Yeah," but I mean, in my head, I'm like, the Chiefs are going to win this game. I don't have any doubt about it because, like you said, 10-0 for the Chiefs is literally nothing. It's basically like you're
which is crazy because with the defense that the 49ers have, they've been the number one defense all year, especially in fantasy, which is nice because they're my fantasy defense. But we won't talk about that because this is a Chiefs podcast. But it's just impressive to be able to put up those kind of points against the great defenses that the Chiefs have faced this year.
Yeah, that I think even speaks more volumes too because you could play defenses like the Jaguars per se, who's not terrible, but there's plenty of bad defense in the NFL that the Texans that you could face, and okay, you put up 40 on them, great,
like,
you can score,
but you're so surprised,
right? I was going to say the Jets, but the Jets don't necessarily fall in that conversation anymore. But again, this is a Chiefs podcast. So you're right. The fact that the Chiefs are doing this against some of the better defenses in the league is definitely a plus too that you have to definitely pay attention to and make note of.
And for our defense to come out in the second half, only allowing 10 points because they had allowed 13 in the first. So 23 points, really not something to be like super happy about, but just to see their dominance continue and see a guy in Frank Clark actually stepping up here in the last few weeks. But also the sad thing about that is now with all the things he's been facing in the past, the suspension is now finally came. There's a 2-game suspension, which isn't ideal coming up against the Titans and the Jags, two teams that have actually really started to show themselves in the past few weeks. How do you
Especially the
how do you feel
Titans.
about a guy that's starting to show up, Frank Clark, that we've needed to show up the last few years, who's only really shown up in the playoffs? But how do you feel about now that he's more slender, a lot more faster? What do you think the outcome will be in these next 2 games that we will have?
It's been huge. The shark is finally becoming the shark. You could say.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, it's gonna hurt to not have him against the Titans. The Titans, especially, have been a lot more impressive lately than they started off. But it's finally good to see somebody that we're paying so much money to playing like he can play.
Oh, 100%. It's just something that you like to see, but the Chiefs have playmakers; they'll be able to find a way out of it.
Absolutely, I would agree.
But I really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you
Yeah,
for having me.
very very good to have you. See your insight with everything.
I don't know if insight's the word, but I
Oh,
appreciate the
I
invitation.
think I think it's good insight. Anyways, that'll wrap up this week's episode of 816 to 60 So podcast. I'm your host Joe Ramos. Make sure to tune in next week as we cover the bye, things that are going on with our depth chart, how guys are going to come back from injuries, things like that. How do you think we'll finish the year? Record predictions, all those kind of good things. Anyways, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Deuces.